This is Red Carpet Fly's News on the Fly, bringing you daily, unique, and interesting entertainment, celebrity, and luxury news for February 9th. Before we get started, you know what to do. Like, follow, and subscribe to Red Carpet Fly and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single News on the Fly episode. Okay, let's get started. Are streaming services going to buy movie theaters? Here's why it might make sense. We may never get back to pre-pandemic levels of moviegoing, and much of that has to do with the streaming takeover that has accelerated over the past couple of years. Streaming is the future, and there's no denying that. But what if the future somehow circles back around to the notion of streaming movies being released in theaters? In a Film.com article, it states, theatrically viable studios are continuously cutting deals with streaming services, as Apple recently did with Skydance, the studio behind the Mission Impossible franchise. But can those big movies continue to exist purely in a streaming world without other revenue? Especially when there's so much competition out there for subscribers. Netflix once again missed its quarterly expectations for subscriber growth, and as a result, its stock plummeted. That being the case, for various reasons, it might not be insane to imagine a world in which one or several of the major streaming services out there decide to invest in purchasing movie theaters, effectively putting them in the exhibition business in addition to being in the streaming business. That may sound a little wacky or backward, but there are plenty of reasons this could be an attractive option moving forward, and it boils down to a couple of major points: talent and revenue. One of the primary elements of operating a successful streaming business is exclusivity. It doesn't mean much if someone can get a movie like Red Notice just anywhere. It is important that the movie is only available on Netflix, which necessitates the need for a subscription. A major component of this is locking down filmmakers in an exclusive deal, which Netflix has done by handing out very rich overall deals. Aside from that, it's about convincing a filmmaker or a package of talent that a particular streaming service is the right destination for the project. Oftentimes, that has to do with getting the filmmaker the budget they need along with a level of creative freedom. However, packaging a movie deal with a streaming service and a theatrical release of some kind could be a very enticing deal for filmmakers, which supports the argument for a streaming service to buy theaters or an entire theater chain. Let's say that Amazon, Apple, and Netflix are all trying to land a big project from a director. Let's say one of them has a chain of theaters, and they can guarantee the director that their movie will also get a robust theatrical release in addition to the streaming release. If the others can't do such a thing, that could easily be the straw that breaks the camel's back and makes that option more attractive. Filmmakers still want their movies in theaters, and let's be honest, the weekend or two that Netflix often gives movies just to qualify for awards is more ceremonial than anything else. It is not a revenue driver, and it's certainly not enough to make up what could have been at a traditional studio. Part of the problem is that certain theater chains have a problem justifying streaming a release in theaters that will take up screens. What benefit do they really have if the movie is just going to be available free in a couple of weeks? There is some contention and debate there which muddies the waters. However, if Amazon, for example, owned a big theater chain, the middleman would be gone and they could control the situation from the top down. That could be attractive and certainly easy for all parties involved. Just because movies are being made for streaming services does not mean they inherently come cheap. Red Notice is Netflix's most successful movie of all time, but it came with a budget that is said to be around the $200 million range. A studio would typically want to see hundreds of millions at the box office in return for that kind of investment, if not close to $1 billion. It takes an awful lot of monthly subscription fees to make up that kind of money, especially when considering the sheer volume of high-dollar movies and TV shows a service must provide to keep subscribers happy. One way to potentially make up some revenue when it comes to these bigger projects would be to get into the exhibition business and control the entire revenue stream. Release the big movies in your service chain theaters, make some money at the box office without having to cut in an exhibition partner, or at least make that a small part of the equation and mitigate the cost that way. Granted, there are a lot of complicated realities associated with this sort of play. Chains like AMC or Cinemark would certainly be unhappy to see if Amazon suddenly had a competing theater chain, unless, of course, Amazon was purchasing one of the aforementioned chains. For what it's worth, there were rumors of Amazon buying AMC when the pandemic was crippling the theater business. Nothing came of it, but it's well worth mentioning that AMC's financial woes are far from over, and as the largest theater chain in North America, there may come a time when AMC or other chains need to find a path forward. Could a tech company with billions of dollars at its disposal come to the rescue largely for the sake of its own interests? It doesn't seem that far-fetched. Streaming services operate on a proprietary business model, and exclusivity is key. That has created rifts in the exhibition establishment as it exists, and the path forward could very well be to grab hold of the future is by getting into the theater business, purely to control the situation in a top-down way. Own every link in the chain so nobody can tell you no, and you can do what needs to be done, all while creating a potential revenue stream and earning goodwill with filmmakers and people who like the theatrical experience. Yes, premium video on demand and other revenue streams have emerged to help make movies profitable in the streaming era, but it may not be enough for everyone. The box office remains hugely important. If streaming services can find a way to incorporate box office into their business models, it might make the whole exercise more sustainable in the long run. Streaming for streaming's sake has its pitfalls, and unless you're Disney Plus with a gigantic library of attractive IP to exploit, it is a real rat race, and a costly one at that. Incorporating some form of traditional revenue stream into the model that can be controlled might make business sense for an Apple or Amazon or even Netflix. Studios in the early days of Hollywood used to own theaters, and oddly enough, we may be closer than anyone realizes to this old school mentality becoming a reality once again. This is a really interesting article. I haven't been back to the movie theaters since the pandemic has started, and I know there are a lot of people out there like me. So I know the movie theater business is hurting. With a streaming service like Amazon having this top-down approach, I think we could see all kinds of creative movie releases and events surrounding those theatrical releases. I mean, red carpet premieres are classified as events surrounding theatrical releases. So some new theatrical event might be birthed from this approach to generate buzz, publicity, and money for a movie, since one company like Amazon would have exclusive control. With a little bit of creativity, the possibilities are limitless. Facebook, Instagram, and other social media sites are hotspots for fake Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Chanel. According to a Business of Fashion article, Facebook owner Meta is struggling to stop counterfeiters from pushing fake luxury goods from Gucci to Chanel across the social media apps, according to research and interviews as the company barrels into e-commerce. Its platform has emerged as hotspots for counterfeit offenders who exploit its range of social media and private messaging tools to reach users, according to interviews with academics, industry groups, and counterfeit investigators who liken brands' attempt at policy services like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp as a game of whack-a-mole. Facebook and Instagram are the key marketplaces where counterfeit goods get sold to members of the public. It used to be eBay 10 years ago and Amazon 5 years ago, said Benedict Hamilton, a managing director at Kroll, a private investigation company hired by brands hurt by counterfeiting and smuggling. Research led by social media analytics firm Ghost Data and shared exclusively with Reuters showed counterfeiters hawking imitation of luxury brands including Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi, Prada, and Chanel. It identified more than 26,000 active counterfeiter accounts operating on Facebook in a June to October 2021 study, the first time its counterfeit research had focused on Meta's flagship app. And it found more than 20,000 active counterfeit accounts on Instagram, up from its count the previous year, but down from a 2019 peak when they identified about 56,000 accounts. About 65% of the accounts found in 2021 were based in China, followed by 14% in Russia and 7.5% in Turkey. Online commerce is a key priority for Meta, which has pushed new shopping features that could help grow its revenue as it faces pressure like ad tracking changes and a sputtering user growth. Instagram said luxury brands like Dior, Balenciaga, and Versace have adopted shopping features on its app, and said some like Oscar de la Renta and Balmain are using in-app checkout. But users exploiting its platform to sell fake goods present a persistent problem for the company, which also faces scrutiny from lawmakers and regulators about its content moderation. Most buyers know they aren't getting the real deal when they pay $100 for a handbag that retails over $5,000. But harms include hits to the brand sales and reputations, potential safety issues of unregulated goods, and ties between counterfeiting and organized criminal activity, experts say. Meta has joined e-commerce sites and online marketplaces in grappling with sales of counterfeit goods, but unlike public listing on sites dedicated to shopping like eBay and Amazon.com, social platforms also provide offenders multiple channels to post in closed spaces, send private messages, and use disappearing content like Instagram stories, experts said. They are creating a lot of unique opportunities for counterfeiters to hide, said Laura Miller, Vice President of Corporate Strategy at the International Anti-Counterfeiting Coalition. We are all playing catch-up. Meta, which has 3.59 billion monthly active users across its app, in October launched an updated tool for brands to search and report counterfeits in post, ads, and commerce features, and says it typically responds to complaints of such infringements within 24 hours. In a recent report, the company said it removed 1.2 million pieces of counterfeit Facebook content, including accounts, reported it from January to June 2021, and about 500,000 on Instagram. The company said in its period, it also proactively removed 283 million pieces of Facebook content violating counterfeit or copyright infringement rules and about 3 million on Instagram, either before they were reported by brands or before they went live. I had no idea fake luxury products were being sold on social media sites. Maybe I'm not on social media enough. Did you guys know about this? John Mayer stops LA show to help audience member. John Mayer stopped his small stage series show on Wednesday night when he noticed a woman who was possibly unconscious in the audience, according to Page 6. The show, presented by Sirius XM and Pandora, was held at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles. Midway through his hit song, Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, the singer stopped the music and spoke to the audience, asking if the woman was okay. "Give me a thumbs up if they're alert," he told the crowd. "I'm going to step off the stage for a moment," he said as the lights came up. Officials rushed to the front of the stage and made audience members open a row to safely escort the woman out in a wheelchair. "Anyone in the crowd who was worried, I'm told she waved goodbye, so she's okay," Mayer told the crowd when he returned to the stage. "The system works. Thank you very much." In the wake of Travis Scott's tragic Astroworld event in Houston, more artists are doing this. But my question is it really the responsibility of the artists to monitor the crowd? Shouldn't their security or staff be monitoring the crowd? Also, if it is the artist's responsibility to watch the crowd for fights or medical issues, doesn't that sort of take away from the performance because they're kind of distracted? I mean, I'm glad John Mayer did stop the concert and this woman was able to receive medical attention, but doesn't this break his concentration and flow? What do you guys think? Should artists be responsible for the crowd and the crowd behavior? Comment below. Well, that's it for Red Carpet Fly's News on the Fly for February 9th. Please like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Red Carpet Fly, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Red Carpet Fly. And until tomorrow, always stay fly.